I'm Cassie of Fed and Fit, and today I'm going to show you 2 of our most popular stuffing recipes on fedandfit.com. We're going to compare them side by side. We're making a semi-homemade gluten-free stuffing and then a totally homemade gluten-free stuffing. Let's see which one wins.
You're going to need some butter, some salt, garlic, a whole loaf of bread, a pound of sausage, 4 stalks of celery, an onion, some broth, and herbs. Chop up that garlic, mince it really well, finely chop up the celery, and then chop the onion, a whole onion. Then we're going to cut that loaf of bread into cubes, the size of a crouton. Don't overthink it, and just keep going. Put those croutons onto a baking sheet, pour that garlic on top, and drizzle with some of the melted butter. Toss to combine so every piece is coated with butter, and then bake at 375 for 10 minutes. While it's baking, let's go ahead and brown that sausage in a pan. The whole pound goes into a skillet until it's cooked, and then add the celery and the onion. Cook until it's done, transfer to a bowl. When the croutons are done crisping, add those to the bowl. Add your herbs and toss to combine. Pour into your favorite little casserole dish. Don't waste one bit of it. Pour the broth over top. Bake at 350 for 30 minutes. Next up, let's start on our semi-homemade stuffing. We're going to chop that garlic and the celery and the onion. Looks familiar? It should. Breakfast sausage is going into a skillet, and we're going to crisp that until it's totally cooked. Add in the celery and the onion and the garlic. Toss until it's really well cooked. And then I like to do this mixing right in the casserole dish. Whisk an egg. Add those dried breadcrumbs right out of the package. Add in that breakfast sausage and sauteed celery mixture. Sea salt goes in. Some freshly chopped herbs. And the broth. Toss to combine. This really helps save on dishes. And then pour melted butter over the top. It'll make a really lovely crust. Bake at 375 for 35 to 40 minutes until golden brown.
Okay, before we get to the side-by-side tasting comparison, let's talk about just the ins and outs of both of these recipes so you know how they compare to each other. First of all, how long do they take? Well, it's fun fact, both of them take 1 hour and 10 minutes total time to make, which is so interesting to me, so that's a wash. Which one calls for more ingredients, like more ingredients you're gonna have to rummage for? The from scratch homemade gluten-free stuffing calls for 11 ingredients. The semi-homemade calls for 10. Essentially a wash, but slightly more over here. Cost of ingredients. Because I used a gluten-free loaf of bread, it cost about the same as that package of pre-prepared gluten-free stuffing. And so that was about the same. Both of them cost roughly the same amount. I would say this one cost maybe a little bit more, the homemade one, but by a very small margin. And then ease of pulling them together. Honestly, I would say they're about the same. Now, of course, we had to make the croutons for the homemade stuffing over here, and that was an added step that you can skip on this side, but it really wasn't that difficult. It was chopping bread, tossing it with garlic and butter and salt, and roasting it for just a little bit. I would say I still sauteed browned crumbled meat with the celery and the onion and tossed it all together. And then last but not least, one other differentiator here. This stuffing does call for an egg. The semi-homemade calls for an egg to help hold it all together and bind it. And the from scratch stuffing does not call for an egg because I have found that you don't really need it. Hope that's helpful. Okay, the winner, the consensus is the semi-homemade gluten-free stuffing won. And we think it's a combination of a couple of things. The breakfast sausage in here is really delicious. And so I wonder if we couldn't use a breakfast sausage in this one and also up the flavors there. And then that butter that we drizzled on right before it went into the oven really helped make the top nice and crispy. It's so delicious. It honestly tastes like stuffing that I enjoyed growing up. And whether you're gluten-free or not, this could just be a really great option to explore this holiday season. I have to be gluten-free, and I want to be able to plate a stuffing recipe that I can eat that everyone else also can enjoy, even if they can't eat the real thing. I hope you found that helpful. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more of our holiday content coming out. There's going to be a bunch of it. And now you know our favorite stuffing recipe. Check the video on your screen right now for our other favorite holiday cocktail. It is this apple cider margarita, and it takes 10 minutes to make max. Check it out right now.